I'd like to ask Annie Hall, Vietnam veteran of the Royal Australian Army Nursing Corps, to please come forward for the reading of the ode. Would you all please stand?
They shall grow not old as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget.
Of beauty rich and rare.
Please be seated. During the hymn, Lead Kindly Light, a collection will be taken up from the memorial playing fields. I will now ask Chaplain David Davis to come forward to lead the benediction. Please stand for the benediction.
The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and your going, both now and forevermore. Go in peace. Amen.
Please remain standing for the demounting of the catapult party.
Catapult party. Inward. Turn. Catapult party. Low. Quick.
Please be seated. I will now hand over to Helen Fisher, President of the South Australian Women's Memorial Playing Fields Trust. Thank you, Helen.
Well, for all of those who come every year, we finally got here. Yes. First, may I acknowledge our esteemed guests, Their Excellencies, the General the Honourable David Hurley and Mrs Hurley, Her Excellency the Honourable Francis Adamson, Governor of South Australia and the Trust's patron, and Mr Bunton, His Honour, Stephen Marshall, Premier of South Australia, many members of the South Australian Parliament present, the senior members of the Australian Defence Force, representatives of the Defence Veterans Organisations, family and descendants of the nurses commemorated here, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I would also like to acknowledge that the land we meet on today is the traditional lands for the Kaurna people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country and acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Adelaide region. Thank you all for your attendance today. It's wonderful to see so many of you and taking in this magnificent site and the lovely grounds, and we know it's not quite finished, but it's going to be magnificent when it is. It's such a privilege for me to be here, not just with the beautiful backdrop and the brand new Memorial Plaza, but there are so many people who've come before me who've made this possible, and I'm standing here taking the credit. So, you know, it's kind of a bit cheeky, but also I'm here and we've got here, and this is fabulous. The memorial represents a fitting honour to commemorate the nurses who were massacred on Raji Beach, in addition to being an iconic memorial to all women who have served in the Australian Defence Force. I would like to take you around and introduce you to all the elements that are here and give you a little bit of their story in terms of their Raji Beach connection. Firstly, on my right are the 22 posts which commemorate each of the nurses who were marched into the sea and shot from behind. The low wall behind the post carries the immortal words of matron Irene Drummond, "Chin up girls, I'm proud of you and I love you all." It was matron Drummond who suggested that the civilian women and children should leave for Muntok, thereby saving many lives. Shortly after the civilians departed, a Japanese officer and 20 soldiers arrived at the beach. Each of the stainless steel posts carries the name, rank, place of enlistment and date of death and age at death of each of the Australian Army Nursing Service nurses to ensure that they will always be remembered. The final post is brass and is dedicated to the sole survivor, Sister Vivian Bullwinkle, whose incredible courage led to the massacre coming to light. And without her brave actions and incredible fortitude, surviving more than 3 years in a POW camp, she lived to tell the tale, and that is amazing. The Trust Committee have asked me to name the nurses to further honour this occasion as the 80th anniversary and the inauguration of the new memorial. And I'll just do this again. So, in alphabetical order, they are Sister Elaine Balfour Ogilvie, Keswick, 16/2/1942, aged 30. Sister Alma Beard, Perth, 16/2/1942, aged 29. Sister Ada Bridge, Sydney, 16/2/1942, aged 34. Lieutenant Florence Casson, Wayville, 16/2/1942, aged 33. Sister Mary Cuthberton, Melbourne, 16/2/1942, aged 31. Major Irene Drummond, Keswick, 16/2/1942, aged 36. Sister Dorothy Elms, Paddington, 16/2/1942, aged 27. Sister Lorna Fairweather, Woodside, 16/2/1942, aged 29. Sister Peggy Farminer, Perth, 16/2/1942, aged 28. Sister Clarence Halligan, Melbourne, 16/2/1942, aged 37. Sister Nancy Harris, Sydney, 16/2/1942, aged 29. Sister Minnie Hodgson, Yeelering, 16/2/1942, aged 33. Sister Ellen Keats, Adelaide, 16/2/1942, aged 26. Sister Janet Kerr, Sydney, 16/2/1942, aged 31. Sister Mary McGlade, Sydney, 16/2/1942, aged 38. Sister Kathleen Noose, Sydney, 16/2/1942, aged 30. Sister Florence Salmon, Victoria Barracks, 16/2/1942, aged 26. Lieutenant Esther Stewart, Darlinghurst, 16/2/1942, aged 37. Lieutenant Mona Tate, Sydney, 16/2/1942, aged 27. Sister Rosetta White, Burwood, 16/2/1942, aged 33. Sister Bessie Wilmot, Perth, 16/2/1942, aged 28. And the sole survivor from the Bangka Island massacre, Captain Vivian Bullwinkle, Burwood, 3rd of July 2000, aged 84. We continue to honour the sacrifice and service of all Australian women who served our country during the war and other conflicts across the world, but this particular chapter in women's involvement in wars will continue to be a primary focus of the Women's Memorial Playing Fields Trust. As one of our key objectives, the Trust aims to educate future generations about the Bangka Island massacre and in particular the sacrifices and service of all women for their country. To that end, our service today has been recorded and an audio podcast is being made for the virtual War Memorial Schools Education Program. The audio podcast will be a national free digital classroom resource for Australian high school students, plus be available for the public to freely access on their website. This particular episode will include the stories of two of the nurses involved, Elaine Balfour Ogilvie and Lorna Fairweather. As many of you may be aware, the Balfour Ogilvie family have been strongly involved in the Trust and the Bangka Day Memorial Service for many years. We are pleased to also welcome members of the Fairweather family, some of whom have travelled interstate to be here today, and this is the first time they have attended. So welcome to Gillian Davidson, John Furler and Elizabeth Holzner. It is the first time we've been aware, and we're very pleased to add your family history of what happened on Raji Beach. We also thank Megan Spencer for honouring the nurses with the podcast and encourage anyone with stories to add to our historical knowledge to reach out to her or to the Trust, because the more information we have, the more rich our story becomes. Now, you may not have noticed, probably have, the cenotaph is incomplete. So whilst we had hoped for the memorial to be completed in all its glory, some things are outside the control of all actors. In this case, the stonemasons were unfortunate enough to not only have more than a dozen skilled workers off with COVID in the last few weeks, but they also broke their highly specialised machine when cutting our piece of granite. So unfortunately for us, parts need to come from Italy. So we had no knowing when that might happen. So we've gone ahead and they did a wonderful job of jury rigging a cenotaph for the corps badges and the plaque. And hopefully not too many of you noticed, but you'll all know now, of course. The cenotaph will be polished granite and it will look beautiful on the day, and hopefully you'll be able to see that on Bangka Day 2023 when everything will be complete and we can go to the club rooms, we can use the facilities here, etc. We can fill the steps with people, so it will be amazing when it's all pulled together. So moving around the plaza to my left, we have an installation representing the Vina Brook. I don't know if any of you have noticed it in the gardens there, and it's going to have rocks and plants to represent the islands around the Bangka Straits. So it will be, once it's grown, it will be beautiful. I'd like to add a little bit of the story to my explanation of the ship. On the evening of 12th of February 1942, Vina Brook was one of the last ships to leave Singapore carrying evacuees. Although she usually only carried 12 passengers and 47 crew, the Vina Brook sailed south with 181 passengers, most of them women and children. Among those passengers were the last 65 nurses to leave Singapore. The Vina Brook was attacked by several Japanese aircraft. Despite evasive action, she was crippled by several bombs and within half an hour, had rolled over and sunk bow first. Approximately 150 survivors eventually made it ashore at Bangka Island. The island had already been occupied by the Japanese, and most of the survivors were taken captive. However, an awful fate awaited many of those who landed on Raji Beach. A party of Japanese troops arrived and shot and bayoneted the male survivors and then forced the 22 Australian nurses to wade into the sea and shot them from behind. As we know, one survived and, despite being incarcerated as a prisoner of war, managed to maintain secrecy and lived to tell the story of the massacre. The oval to my left commemorates this incredible courage, having been renamed the Vivian Bullwinkle Oval in her honour. And finally, we have an installation which you may have seen on your way in, comprising a stylised nurse's flame combined with the Trust logo in stainless steel. It's on the plaza at the moment on the way in, but that is not its final resting place. It will go up by the corner of the building and will be the first thing everyone sees who comes here, players, parents, everyone. So it's going to be there for all to see. The memorial is where we're sitting is the physical and spiritual centre of the playing fields as it was attended, and it will continue to be a living memorial to the nurses and to all women who have served. Also commemorating the 80th anniversary, I've been informed by several of our members that a new rose has been registered in memory of World War II Far East veterans and prisoners of war and civilian internees. The rose is named Singapore Far East Moon and is being grown by Wagner's Rosemary at Kalangadoo Rose Nursery. It is being released this year to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the fall of Singapore. and the Singapore Far East moon is a yellow bush rose to symbolise mateship and compassion. And now I'd like to ask our brand new patron, Her Excellency Mrs. Frances Abbott Adamson, Governor of South Australia, if she would be kind enough to come to the podium to present the May Mills grants. So these grants are provided by the Trust to the sporting groups based at the playing fields, currently the Cumberland United Women's Football Club and the Sturt Lacrosse Club. So if I could ask Yvette Usher, representing Sturt Lacrosse Club, and Holly Hayes, representing Cumberland United Women's Football Club, to come to the front. Oh, here's one. You, Holly? Yes. And do we have someone from Sturt Lacrosse, if Yvette is not here? Someone? Anyone? Okay, well, I'll just pop that in my pocket. No, please wait. Please wait. Oh, right, we do have some. We give our best wishes to the sporting clubs. They are eagerly awaiting getting back to their home ground, and it's been a difficult year or so for them. So, yeah, hopefully they will be able to pull it together and keep going. I would like to present our new patron, the Governor, with a signed copy because we're lucky enough to have the author in the audience today. I got it signed before everyone came, but would like to say thank you to the Governor for her patronage, and please enjoy reading. And thank you to Ian Shaw and Pam. I can't see you, but thank you for coming from Canberra to be here today. I would like to thank the many contributors to the Bangka service today. Now look, there are so many that I'm sure to miss anyone. If I do, I'm not slighting you, I just have had a lot to do. Okay. Firstly, their excellencies. It's a singular honour for the Trust to host this Bangka Day service with His Excellency General the Honourable David Hurley and Her Excellency Mrs Hurley. Thank you both, and I have no idea how we're going to top this next year. Thank you also to Her Excellency the Governor and the Trust patron. We're very pleased to welcome you and Mr Bunton to this auspicious commemoration, and we hope to see you at everyone from this point forward. It will be lovely. I would also like to acknowledge our local Member of Parliament, Carolyn Power, Member for Elder, who has supported the Trust to achieve our goal of holding the 80th anniversary at this new memorial. Thank you, Carolyn. We know you worked hard behind the scenes. Thank you. I would like to thank the 3rd Health Service Battalion for their above and beyond support. They do it for us every year and they do a wonderful job. Thank you. The Australian Army Band have been involved in the Bangka service for almost a quarter of a century. It is amazing. They have done a wonderful job, and also thank you to the lovely singer. And even though some of us did sing, she did help us forget that we weren't meant to. The Catafalque Party, who are nurses in the Australian Army Nursing Service, for their support of this unique memorial service to Army nurses. Our ever reliable and hardworking MC, Carl Haas. Thank you, Carl. We'll miss you. The Trust Committee. The Trust Committee, they're a brilliant group of dedicated volunteers, and they've done a wonderful job this year, and especially with some of the young ones, they're going to get us up and running on social media. I don't really know what that is, but you know. To the Office for Recreation, Sport and Racing, Architects Swanbury Penglaze, Iguana Creative and Builders Romaldi's, who all came together to do their best to get the site ready for today. We really do extend our heartfelt thanks. If you'd been here 2 weeks ago, it really was a building site. They have done a wonderful job, so thank you, all of you. To Rosemary Wanganeen, thank you for the lovely welcome to country, and I would like to catch up later and find out a bit of the Indigenous history. Thank you. To Mitcham Council, thank you for the parking aids. And the sporting clubs for their work and ongoing support throughout the year. It will be good when we can all get back home. Thank you all, that's all from me. Please enjoy some light refreshments over this way. Thank you.
So, as Helen mentioned, on behalf of their patron, Her Excellency, the Honourable Francis Adamson AC, and the President of the South Australian Memorial Plainfields Trust, Helen Fisher, I would like to invite distinguished guests and all those present to join together for light refreshments provided. Due to our COVID restrictions, snacks will be individually boxed and bottled water will be provided. And unfortunately for those who hang out for tea or coffee, that won't be provided today. All right. Thank you very much, and God bless.